Hey everyone, I am here with Chad Youngquist. Welcome to Thursday Live at 7 p.m. Thank you so much for being here, everyone who watches us. And yeah, as the title says, we're going to find out that life is, generally speaking, a lot better when you push yourself to the limit and expand them, to be honest. And there's pretty good science backing behind this. So yeah, thanks for being here, Chad.
Yeah, no problem.
What do you think is the main thing about having joy in these certain challenges?
Uh, Having, what do you mean?
Well, it's like why do some people enjoy like pushing themselves, and what do you think
Well,
the behind that is?
there's I'm not a doctor and I don't know all the science behind it, but it does affect the hippocampus in your brain, and it starts to trigger positive reactions and positive feelings, and when you exercise. And so, if we're talking about um, there obviously there's a lot of ways to push the limits of who you are as a person and grow and get stronger. One of them is physical fitness, right? And the science behind, I mean, obviously it's healthy for us to um, be physically active and get exercise daily and that sort of thing. And but the science behind it is pretty interesting. I haven't taken a super deep dive into it, but in years past, about a decade ago, I struggled with depression really bad, and
Hmm.
it was one of the catalysts to get me out. I was always an active guy, but when you are fighting depression, you are fighting also your ability to just get up off the couch and move, and so
Do anything?
forcing forcing myself to get out and get some exercise
Mhm.
um, is what helped me start to crawl out of that mess. And so um, I did look at the science behind it when I did that, and yeah, sure enough, like there are chemical reactions in your brain that fight the chemical reactions causing the depression. And so, I mean, you've seen my home gym. I take it very seriously today, and physical fitness is a huge part of my life. And I find that when I'm not pushing myself hard, whether it's physical, mental, or spiritual, and I start to let one of those aspects of wellness kind of slip, the others start to crumble too. And so
Yeah, definitely.
um, I have to stay active, or I feel from time to time like that depression demon sort of knocking on the door a little bit, and have had to like figure out, okay, whoa, what's going on here? And
Mhm.
okay, I'm gonna get serious. I'm gonna start working out harder. I'm gonna take some more ice baths. I'm gonna get up early. I'm gonna go to bed early. I'm gonna eat only whole foods this whole week or whatever, and all hard stuff that, like, it takes work to do all those things.
Mhm.
And uh and I, I noticed a difference almost immediately when I push myself
Good.
that hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I think the little Gaga says here, I went through anxiety and depression. It's been very hard. I still struggle with anxiety. Do you have any tips for that?
it,
It says it in the comments.
oh, I can't see the comments. I'm on my phone.
Oh,
I think
Lil,
that what's that?
Lil Gaga says, I went through anxiety and depression. It's been very hard. I still struggle with anxiety.
Yeah. The anxiety piece, I don't know. That being a little bit different than depression. I
Mm.
I have a little bit of anxiety, but it usually comes in the form of being stressed out at work and then having weird work dreams and waking up like kind of panicked. But that I don't live with a ton of anxiety, but I know that the same sort of aspect helps. Getting the exercise,
Mm-hmm.
being careful about what you eat, getting the sleep, go to bed early, get up early, focus, spend the first hour of your day just meditating or doing some, go for a walk or something that's calming,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, start your day off right. And I've noticed that when in my work life, when it's super stressful and I'd roll out of bed and go right to work, like there's no lead in. It's just boom, the stress just hits you right in the face.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I've literally like for the last several months, I've been getting up at 5 and just say I don't need to, be on the job until 7, and I have a home office, so I work from home. But so I spend the first couple hours either exercising or just flat meditating and being having that alone time where you're just focused on nothing else but just you know having that time being well and being doing healthy stuff, whether it's
Right.
stretching or um, going for a walk. I'm a mountain biker, so I've been this week I've been on a couple of mountain bike rides early in the morning, and it's what I have to do to curb the work stress and the depression that always likes to rear its ugly head.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I find that working out when I've had a rough day at work makes me feel a lot better. Um, and really, I think a lot of it has to do with being outside when you're exercising. Because not only are those endorphins happening and that high activity of those positive feelings, but there's also a lot of really good stuff from the sun. Like there's vitamin D, I believe there's calcium in it. Like there's just a really lot of good vitamins and minerals that kind of like get into you while you're doing this good stuff.
Well,
Uh,
and it's fresh air too,
for sure,
and just
true.
being outside and being in the breeze, and there's just something to being outside that like we live in a climate that's we have snow all winter, and so we have to kind of work out indoors for a lot of it. But man, it's way different when we get to work out outside, I think. So I agree with that 100%.
For sure. No, we've talked about the physical aspect of challenging yourself. What about the unseen things? So like the mental and the emotional challenges. What do you think those do positively?
Well, I have to yeah. So, are you talking about like what I would do to
So,
challenge myself mentally,
for
or what?
example, for me, I'm going through a phase where I'm trying to overcome sensory issues,
Mhm.
and ever since I started doing that, I felt a lot happier with myself, just like emotionally speaking. Um, because I mean, I'm kind of like building up my tolerance, I guess, and that makes me feel good because I know I'm working hard for that. So what do you think that has to do with good emotional and mental health?
Yeah, I just think that all of us have room for improvement from the
Mhm.
time we're born till the time we die, right? And putting uh, putting exercises in your path or situations in your path, whether it's good mental uh, strength training or spiritual or physical. I think that what am I trying to say? I think that they all have to work in union with each other. So the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. I have to focus on all of them. If I'm really physically fit, but I'm a jerk at home and I'm tired and I'm cranky with the family and stuff. That's no good for anybody. And so, um, I do, like I think you said something earlier this week about kind of overcoming the stimulus of someone shampooing your hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how did you do that? It sounds like you just basically made a mental decision. I'm going to let somebody shampoo my hair,
Right.
and I'm going to be strong, and I'm going to be able to deal with it, and I'm going to overcome this one aspect of my life.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. And so that is precisely what we have to do. We have to put the painful things in our path to overcome them.
Right.
I was funny story. I was mountain biking with my daughter Macy. It was her first trip and out for the summer, and she was complaining because it was a pretty steep climb. And
Fair enough.
I went on like a 15-minute monologue. I was riding behind her about how, the Youngquist don't quit, and we put this stuff in our path to grow better. And when you work out, it tears your muscles, and your muscles grow back stronger. But it was painful, to endure that soreness. And I literally went on for like 15 minutes, just kind of going like while she was huffing and puffing and cranky about being out there with me. But
oh, you're anime Chad right there.
Yeah. But that's the thing, man, is we've got to choose to like manufacture adversity.
Yeah.
Would you rather choose your adversity or have your adversity choose you? So my thing is like when painful stuff happens that I can't control and I'm not prepared for it, man, it sucks.
Yeah.
When I put myself through a circumstance of my choosing, whether it's an ice bath or a sauna session or 4:30 in the morning, get up and stretch kind of thing, I'm choosing to do that. That's my choice. So it's not like it came after me. I said, okay, here's a goal. Here's what I'm going to set out to do. And it's going to suck. And at the end, I'm going to be stronger for it. And so
definitely
big reason we do like the ice baths and the sauna sessions as a family. It's not like, hey, let's see how much we can sweat. It's no, hey, in that sauna, how much can you endure mentally?
Right.
The more you can endure this mentally, I mean, obviously we're not stupid about it and killing each other off with dehydration or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but we're doing it to where there's pain. There is pain after 30 minutes and 190 degrees. And so we talk about it as a family, and some people have kind of blasted me online for making Max do it, but Max does it by choice. Max hangs out with us, and when he's ready to be done, he bails and we let him. But we do that exercise for a mental fitness and to be stronger. You chose to take something that you can't stand or historically you haven't been able to do, and you just said, dude, I'm going to do this. I'm going to let somebody shampoo my hair and have somebody else run their fingers through my scalp. Like that just for my whole life, it's just, I couldn't do it. You chose to just gut it out. And that's, I think that, how was it painful?
No, it wasn't painful. I just hate that. I just hate that feeling.
But it was mentally painful though.
It was.
Yeah. And so, that's what we've got to do. We've got to train ourselves to overcome the hard stuff in life by putting the hard stuff in our path and setting goals and achieving them. There's a part of what I think a kind of a side conversation to this topic that you've brought up is goal setting.
Yeah.
And I know that you've set some goals for some mountaineering stuff and you're working to achieve them. There's so much mental and spiritual health benefits from having goals in front of you and having a plan to achieve them. And when you achieve that goal, there's nothing better, especially the big ones, And so I think goal setting is a huge aspect of kind of this topic that we've got of putting, stress and sort of working toward a healthy atmosphere for yourself by pushing yourself to the limit.
Absolutely. And one of the things that the Youngquist his family does that's really inspiring is what you said. Like that sauna, that 30-minute, 200-degree heat, that's a physical challenge, but it also provides the other aspects, which is mental and emotional. And I think there's got to be something spiritual in there as well. So it's that, and then the family ice bath, that was the same thing, and especially the one with Max that went viral, the one with the cold bathtub.
Yeah.
It covers all the aspects of those challenges, and I think those are the absolute healthiest activities you can get. The reason I bring that up is because when I was in Colorado doing the pass loop, it was exactly the same thing, because we had 1,500 feet of climbing on every single pass that we went through, and with a 40-pound bag, that sucked. Like,
Yeah.
no matter what altitude you're at, that sucks. And but what I also realized is that if I could just take it one step at a time and not keep looking up top, then it's not as hard. And that's a huge mental aspect that I was overcoming right there. Um, and and then I did all that spirit. Sorry, I'm back.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. The
Yeah.
audio is really choppy.
Yeah, so there was that mental and physical aspect, and also spiritual. And I believe that that hiking trip was one of the most important things for my overall health. It really was. Because
So the audio on my end, I can't hear anything that you're saying. It's all like cut up. I don't know if anybody is out there watching and can text in and say if they can hear you or not. I can't. It's like all robot chop.
can you hear me? Is that
Yeah,
good?
can now. That's
Okay.
good now.
All right. Yeah, what I was saying was that Colorado trip, because I hit all those aspects, like for 4 days straight, I hit all those challenges. I realized that there was a lot more to me than I assumed, because what I was subconsciously doing was I was being too accommodating with myself. Because what I do, I preach accommodations. That, like, I believe that people need to be flexible and be sensitive to other people's needs. And so, hey, I'm going to start doing that myself. I'm going to be sensitive. But what I ended up doing is I kind of putting myself in a box almost, and kind of getting comfortable with how I live my life. And when I was on the trail pushing myself, what I learned from that was I wasn't that happy. Like, I wasn't as happy as I was like pushing my limit day after day, physically and mentally. Um, like that trail, that was the happiest moment. That was the happiest days of the year so far for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, all those aspects is so good for your life.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So if you don't mind talking about Max for a little bit, what do you think? What do you think he does in order to overcome his challenges?
Max,
in order to push them?
yeah, Max doesn't want. He won't do it voluntarily. We have
Okay.
we've sort of forced it, and we know his limits, and we know him. I mean, he's 13 years old, and so we've been living with him long enough to know what buttons we can push and which ones we can't, and so when we encourage him to, like, so Macy went for a run yesterday, and
Mhm.
I basically made Max jump on his bike and ride next to her, and he gave me a bunch of grief and freaked out, and I said, no, dude, just do it. You got to get out of the house. You got to get some movement in. And he comes back and he's like, oh yeah, that was great, that was fun, and that's the way Max rolls. He will not initiate this kind of stuff we're talking about on his own. he has to be forced, and he will go in kicking and screaming, and then he will come out on the other end happy as a clam. And so we've just learned that we're going to just push right through all the freak out when it comes to, you know, family time stuff we do, or physical stuff he needs to do, or you know, we're encouraging and that sort of thing. So I mean, there's a huge positive outcome from that. It's forced, and he goes into it angry about it,
Yeah.
always comes out happy. And so it's proof to me that what we're talking about makes sense, even on a subconscious level. If he comes back to me and says, "Oh yeah, that was fun," I'm like, "Well, then why'd you freak out, dude?" But it's that way on with pretty much everything. Even when snow skiing, like one of his favorite things in the world, like that we always have big fights on the mountain for like getting him out there. And then once he's out there, he's like, "Oh yeah, this is great." So
yeah,
unfortunately, he doesn't choose that path. He doesn't choose to say, "Okay, I'm in a rough spot. I gotta go challenge myself to be better today." He will only do it with Jamie and I at, you know, forcing him.
Well, I definitely hope that at some point he will be able to choose on his own. Do you have any strategies to eventually get him there?
I think for us, it's just focusing on his strengths. Right before I came on, I posted this thing on Instagram where Jamie and Max and Macy and Jamie's sister and her kids, they all took the boat out without me. It's the first time they'd ever done that. And so they went down to the river. Come to find out, Max drove the boat the whole time.
Wow.
And he he's amazing with machinery. Ever since he was little, like he could just pick up a 0-turn lawnmower and get on it and start figuring it out and mow the lawn. Or the video that I did with him on an excavator, like learning the controls, and he could pick logs up and stuff. And so for us, it's like, hey man, let's just focus on your strengths. If you're not super stoked about going out in the boat or being in the water, why don't you drive? You like operating things. And it was funny. They came back last night, and all the kids were like, "Yeah, Max is our new favorite boat driver."
Awesome.
Yeah, and so you know, it's just focusing on. You know, we push him obviously, but we push him in areas that we know he's going to have success. So we know that he's a good boat driver. We know that he's going to deal with anything on the ski hill. We know that he's going to be, you know, there are certain things like we've done some things as a family and tried push some limits and had like absolute epic failure. And we don't do that stuff anymore. We found Max's strengths and we focus on those strengths and we push him toward those strengths. And if Max had his way, he would be sitting in front of the computer screen watching YouTube videos with trucks getting stuck in the sand and watching them peel out. Like that would be 24 hours a day for him if we let him.
Right.
But we don't. But instead of, hey, get up and go run a mile, we try to say, hey, let's go do something. You love jumping on the trampoline, dude. Go spend 20 minutes, just jump your heart out, and get away from that computer screen. And so we just push him in the stuff that we know he enjoys in the middle of it, and we know he will find success in.
Right. Yeah. And that's definitely great that you found those things. I know we were discussing earlier, and that stuff definitely takes years, maybe decades to learn and like fully figure out. I mean, I know firsthand because I was a kid one time that figuring out those strengths and exposing them and helping an autistic child enjoy them is a huge, very long process. And you have to be very patient with that. And fortunately, the people in my life were very patient, and now I'm doing what I do now.
Yeah.
Do you think because Macy does her challenges by choice. Max kind of forced into them. Do you think that has something to do with the different the different brains, so to speak, and like their individual personalities?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine autism or not. If I had 5 kids instead of 2, and none of them were on the spectrum, all of them would show varying signs of whether or not they want to initiate their own wellness or they want to initiate pushing themselves to be better. Um, you know, we laugh a lot. I've got a really cool circle of friends, and they all have multiple children, and we always laugh about how our kids are like the siblings shouldn't even be in the same family. They're wired so differently, and so I think that we can't really attribute Macy and Max to autism or neurotypical. I think it's just the way they're wired differently, and I don't think I would blame autism on Max's lack of desire to push himself. I think maybe that may be part of it, but I wouldn't say that.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you say that, and the reason I bring it up is because I've heard that before. Like I've heard that like stereotype that Aspies don't push themselves, like they want to stay in that box, and that's a stereotype that really needs to be shattered. And that's what I'm trying to do there.
Well, you're a great example of it. I love, hearing the stories about the climbing and the outdoor adventure and the hiking and stuff. And it's cool, man, when we push ourselves and we find out what we're capable of. I will say that your mind will quit long before your body will. And when it comes to a lot of stuff in life, and sitting in an ice bath, I think about that all the time, man. My mind wants to get out as soon as I'm in that water. Like, get me out of this thing.
Yeah.
And my body's doing a-okay. Yeah, it stings and it's completely like not even, it's otherworldly, the feeling that you have when you're in 33-degree water.
Breathe, right?
Yeah. And but your body can handle it. You could spend 3-4 minutes in that water and your body will be just fine when you get out. It's your brain that wants to quit. And so I think a lot of and because autism affects the brain, and Asperger's, same thing. I think that's partly like the initiation is right up here. And I think all of us are physically capable of so much more. Mentally, we want to grab a bag of chips and go sit on the couch, or we want to not do our homework, or we want to not go to work that day, whatever. I feel like it all starts with the mind. I think we're all capable physically of more than we think we are.
That's very interesting. I've actually always kind of thought it was the other way around, almost. Like sometimes your mind has these like crazy goals, and you try and start them, but your body just can't take it. The example I have is summit fever. Actually, summit fever is where you're on a mountain and you're really high up, and your body is starting to die because it's so high up.
Right.
But what you want to do is you're like, hey, I've come this far. I've spent this much training in. I'm going to get to the top no matter what. And people die from that. It's a very real thing and dangerous thing.
Right.
So I suppose there's a little bit of both that aspect. Like there's like most of the time your body is stronger than your mind, but sometimes it's the other way around.
Yeah, and that could very well be. I just know that to initiate change and to get that ball rolling, like it starts right here.
Right.
And we've got to acknowledge that, hey, if I just get this thing in motion, my body will follow along. And so that's why goals are so important. Is the goals are right here. The goals are say, okay, in my head I can see sometime out in the future this benchmark that I want to get to, and I'm going to develop a plan in my head on how to get there. I can't go there now, but I'm going to train and I'm going to do the exercise or whatever that goal is to get there. And it all starts in your head. And so I think that's where the biggest battles are fought. I think are in the head. Yep.
And I mean that's true for a neurotypical. And I mean the battles are really intense in the mind of an Aspie.
Sure.
From personal experience and multiple sources. But yeah, definitely understanding that, and that
Yeah.
the limit is greater than you think.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Chad, thank you so much for coming on. Do you have any final words about this topic?
No, man, that's good. Thanks for having me. It's a good conversation. Yep.
Feel free to share this video. I can send you, maybe I can download it and you can upload it or something.
Is it gonna be permanently on YouTube after we're done?
It will, yes.
Okay, right on. Well, I'll go find it.
Thank you, Chad. Peace out.
All right, man. Have a good one.